Okay, so hey guys, and welcome back to another predictions video. And in today's video, I'm going to be predicting the Teraji versus Olascuaga prediction. If you are new around here though and you haven't subscribed, please do so. Like the video if you didn't like the video, and let's get straight into it. So, going into this fight, Teraji is 20-1 with 12 KOs, and Olascuaga is 5-0 with 3 KOs. This fight is for the WBA Super and WBC World Light Flyweight titles. Teraji's last fight was a win via TKO in round 7 versus Kayaguchi, and Olascuaga's last fight was a win via TKO in round 1 versus Sustata. Teraji was meant to fight Gonzalez, but he pulled out due to illness, so Olascuaga has stepped in into his toughest test yet. Of course, he's only 5-0, and so he's very early on in his career, but I do respect him for taking up this fight, and I also respect Teraji for taking this fight as well. He could have just not done it and just kind of said that he would maybe like to wait until Gonzalez is back fighting, or maybe take another option that might seemingly be a bit less risky for him, because I think this is a bit of a risky fight for Teraji to take. I mean, of course, Olascuaga is only early on, like I've mentioned, in his career, and so for him to be getting this title shot already, I know the light flyweight division isn't overly packed with fighters, but for him to get this shot already in his career, it is quite early on, and so for Teraji to be happy to take that is fair enough. And it's also not what he's been training against, because Gonzalez is a completely different fight to what Olascuaga is. I mean, Gonzalez is, from what I've seen, a southpaw who's a bit more, I suppose, defensive compared to Olascuaga. Who's a bit more attacking and will probably fight on the inside and is going to be physically stronger and more powerful and less kind of reserved compared to what Gonzalez might be like. But to be fair, that Teraji versus Gonzalez fight I didn't mind. I thought it was a good matchup, different stylistically fighters, and that is something that's always entertaining. But this fight is also entertaining as well. Teraji is 31 and Olascuaga is 24, so that big age gap is something that might be going, well, will be going in Olascuaga's favour. This is in Teraji's home country of Japan. And also on this card, it's a stat card, great card. There's two fights we're going to speak about. Inoue versus Solis for the WBA World Bantamweight title, in which I think Inoue will win via unanimous decision versus Martinez. Will win via unanimous decision. I think Inoue trying to follow in his brother's footsteps. I don't see this as being a massively tough test for him. I mean, Solis has been around the kind of game for quite a while now, but he's suffered some big defeats, and yeah, I don't think he is that great anymore. And I think Inoue, it's a good test for him, but I think he'll be able to pass with flying colours, not be able to get a stoppage though. And then also on this card is Martinez versus Abe, in which I think that Martinez will win via TKO in round 7. I believe this might be an eliminator for a world title. I'm not sure which one. I've read it. I don't know if it's correct. But if it is, then fair enough. I wouldn't hate it. But I think Martinez, the way he's fighting at the moment, if he can fight the way they fought his last fight, was a very dominating victory. And his style was very tough to counter against. I mean, obviously, if you can counter it, then fair enough, you're more likely to beat him. And of course, Martinez has been beat his fair share of times. But Martinez, when he's on his day, the attacking ability is very impressive. And it's, like I said, a very tough style to go against. And I think Abe won't be able to kind of manage with that, and I think Martinez will get that win via TKO in round 7 and then potentially get a world title shot again, which is very surprising, saying his age and where he is at his career. But I don't hate it. If he's proven that he can do it still, then he can do it. Going back to the Teraji Olascuaga fight, Teraji is coming off that huge win versus Kayaguchi. Like I said, massive win. Kind of big rivalry between them two in that weight division, probably the biggest fight in that weight division. And he passed with flying colours. It was a great performance by Teraji. Managed to dominate that fight, of course, get the stoppage as well, which is something that was quite surprising. I don't think anybody expected anybody to be stopped, really. But yeah, great performance from him. Him as a fighter, he's fast, he's an in and out fighter, he's got great movement, a great jab, arguably one of the best jabs in boxing. He's accurate, it's great timing, he can box from the front or the back foot. He's proven. He's mid-range kind of fighter, and he'll hunt you down. Overall, great fighter. The technical ability is immense. That great movement, that in and out kind of fast style is something which is, of course, very difficult to counter. You see it at the high level in light flyweight fighters relatively often, but it's when you can kind of put that together with also timing the shots well and being accurate, which is something which is just hard to do, but makes it look so good when you're watching the fights. And yeah, like I said, that great jab is not overly powerful, but it's very controlling. And of course, he is proven. And the fact that he can box from the front or the back foot is something which is going to be interesting. And I think Olascuaga will probably test that, and probably force him to be fighting off the back foot. But I think he can do that. And I mean, when he's fighting on the front foot, of course, he'll hunt you down. He is a bit more of a mid-range fighter, and so if he can keep that range, that'd be where he's best. I don't think he's as good at the close range. But I suppose him as a fighter, he hasn't faced as powerful opposition in the past, I'd say, and so this might be one of the kind of most powerful opposition fighters. He is the smaller fighter. He's seemingly physically weaker. He's a little bit inconsistent at times with his performances. He goes off sometimes big victories and then maybe will have like a worse victory, or even when he's doing really well in the fight, in the later rounds he might drop off a little bit. He can punch himself out. He's got not the best of chins. He's been knocked down in the past from what I believe. And see, not the best of chins. Like I said, kind of punch himself out. That kind of links to the inconsistent kind of thing. Seemingly physically weaker. Of course, Olascuaga is coming down from the flyweight division for this. And so, I mean, unless he doesn't drain himself, he will be the stronger, bigger fighter going into this. And that's something which is going to physically benefit him. So let's speak about Olascuaga. So he's coming down in weight, of course. So he's going to be physically bigger. He's going to be more powerful, and he is just a powerful fighter in general. He's going to have that youthfulness, of course, with his age. He has a tight guard. He's a body puncher. He's a close range fighter. He sits down on his punches, and he arguably has no pressure for this. I think if he loses this fight, everybody's just like, okay, well, it's just too early for him, and he's going to come back and bounce back. If he wins it, then it's massive. Then he's become a world champion in just 6 fights. And so either way, I don't think there's massive amounts of pressure for this fight compared to maybe Teraji, where if he loses this, they'll be like, oh, he's lost versus a 5-0 fighter, and maybe he wasn't as good as what everybody thought he was, and now he's lost them belts. And this is, of course, I believe his first kind of defense of these 2 belts. And so yeah, I mean, the fact of Olascuaga coming down for this fight, he's not had too much time to prepare. Neither fighter has, and the fact that he is coming down is going to be interesting to see if he does drain himself, if he might kind of come in a bit weaker than he should do, or if he's just going to just about miss the weight or just about get the weight. It'd be interesting to see when we see the weigh-in for that fight. But if he can come in still strong, that physical power, it's going to be something which is going to be very interesting to see how Teraji faces with that, and the fact he is a close range fighter. If Teraji can use his movement, then he's probably be able to keep it at the mid-range, but Olascuaga will be constantly coming forwards and constantly trying to keep it in the close range, and so if he can get off the ring well, then I suppose you never know, but it would take a lot, I think, to keep Teraji in a corner. Olascuaga, of course, coming in on short notice. He's an inexperienced compared to Teraji, of course. He's might have weight struggles. He's never gone 10 rounds before. Him as a fighter, though, he is a very good fighter. He's not like amazingly good, I don't think, right yet, but I think with time and experience he's going to be very good. I think this is going to be a tough test for Teraji, of course, and like I said, it's a bit of a risk for Teraji to take this fight, but I'm glad he has, and it shows how good of a champion and valiant of a champion he is. But of course Teraji is the favourite for this fight, and I think that Teraji will win via unanimous decision. I don't see him getting a stoppage in this fight. I think it'll be a good close contest, but I think Teraji will be able to outbox him, use his boxing IQ, just try not to get caught in the mid-range, in the close range, and just maybe try not to outpunch himself at times, and just going to have to be quite smart and quite switched on in this fight just to not get caught with any kind of sloppy shots or any big powerful shots either. And then, I think he probably will go on to fight Gonzalez. If not, then Nonshinger is another great option if he wants to go for undisputed. But yeah, either of them 2 fights could happen, should happen. Wouldn't surprise me if it probably will happen. But yeah, that is it for today's video. Hope you did enjoy. Like if you did, like this, subscribe if you're new, and thanks for watching.